Welcome to Bob Folk Rides Hunting Adventures. This week we're headed to Alaska for moose, a float trip for moose on the 40-mile river. What an adventure it was, what a dream come true. Oh, I can remember like it was yesterday, my first float trip, and my second one. The things that I learned or didn't learn, but we put to use on this trip here. I changed the rules, and this is how it should be done. Take your notes, write down your phone numbers, do your own dream hunts, and make it happen. It's an adventure you won't forget. But also we got a conservation tip from the Wild Sheep Foundation, and a training tip come from Winchester Ammo. Hope you enjoy the show. Don't go away. It's an exciting event.
Bass Pro Shops and Alamositos Ranch present Bob Folk Rides Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Folk Rides Hunting Adventures.
Like all good adventures, this one has a starting place: Fairbanks, Alaska.
Let the adventure begin.
After picking up Bob at the airport, the crew travels to the small town of Tok, Alaska, where the hunt will begin. But before that happens, the gear has to be unpacked, checked, and repacked for the trip into the backcountry.
Obviously you can see we're getting the rafts all together. We're going to take stuff down to 40 Mile. You got to weigh everything because they're going to fly us in, and I'm going to take the vehicle down to where our pickup point's going to be. So a lot of planning. See stuff in the back. We got camera equipment, and everything's got to fit on 2 rafts. Hopefully a moose too. So a lot of planning, but I'll tell you what, the rewards are great. When you pull into 40-mile air, I mean, first of all, you're in Alaska, and I mean, to me, Alaska's the, you know, it spells adventure all by itself. I've been there several times, so you got planes coming and going, you got hunters that's coming and going, you got the smell of the plane fuel and watching all the stuff go into it, and the anticipation of these hunters going in, and plus ourselves going into it. I mean, you can't help but not get excited. Well, we're allowed 750 pounds per payload. That's counting the person, and so that gives us times 2, and I'm allowed, what was I allowed? 400 pounds, you know, so 200 pounds of gear in myself. We got 730 pounds worth of gear total, so I think we did pretty good for this trip, and we didn't skimp on anything. The next day, Charlie and Ken get flown into where we're going to start the adventure from. We'll see you there.
I'll see you at the river.
Yeah.
Don't be late.
I'm going to take the van and drive down the highway and park it into a spot where when we get down to the end of our adventure, we got, you know, wheels back to the 40 Mile. They told me where to drop the van off. There's going to be a big bridge, and he says, and drop your gear off down here because the plane's actually going to come in and land on the road. Well, we had about a 3-hour drive, but he's going to land here on this highway with a plane. He's going to pick me up and fly me in and drop me off what they call Joseph. The adventure is on its way.
Meanwhile, the plane has landed at Joseph Airstrip to unload camera guys and gear. Once it's empty, it's off to pick up Bob.
About 3 hours later, here comes this plane landing, you know, on the road, and it picks me up and off we go. And basically they're going to fly up the river. That kind of gives me a good idea of what I'm going to be floating. So my main concern was about halfway through this thing, they had a place called the Kink, and it was, he said, you know, yeah, there's been people who went through it, but they were lucky to make it, and especially when you're running, you know, your hunting gear, and hopefully you got a moose, and we finally got over that, and I made sure I give it a waypoint. I give it a waypoint up the stream a little bit where you could pull in and take a look at this. And it was one of them places that I really wanted to get on the GPS because it spelled danger. And when we landed, you know, there's a welcome sight. I mean, it's just basically a little landing strip, you know, that's cut out of the, you know, the forest. And Charlie and Ken already had the rafts pumped up, and they were sitting there anticipating for me to come in. There we were. Oh, finally, after months of planning in Pennsylvania and looking at tents and stoves and little generators and food and getting it all shipped up here to Alaska, and then all we had to do was get on an airplane and fly up. Well, we finally got here on the river. I mean, this is where it starts. We landed on the strip today. We've got a campfire going. We've had our supper. We're just going to go over and brush our teeth and jump in our sack and go to bed, and we'll be moose hunting tomorrow.
Fine sponsors. Bob Volkrod's Hunting Adventures is brought to you commercial free by these fine sponsors: Gore-Tex, Winchester Ammunition, Kinnetrek, Kufaru, and LJ Blessings Ranch.